Omo, e don right for social media everywhere don scatter as Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the military to get ready to invade Nîgér for war in case if people of Nîgér did not comply with the orders that ECOWAS gave them. Omo, did Nigerians have all it takes to invade Nîgér, or are we going to waste our remaining resources? Omo, there are a lot of reactions on social media. People are asking, are we going to leave the problems that we are having in our country to go and carry another issues from Nîgér? Omo, make una watch this video and hear what our Rise journalist has to say. And don't forget to share your thought with us.
We'll move on to our next story now. The Nigerian government has put its armed forces on standby to carry out military action against the coupists in Niger Republic. If the ongoing dialogue by the heads of government of the Economic Community of West African countries or states, ECOWAS, fails, this day learned last night that the move was part of the ECOWAS resolution where member states were obligated to place their armed forces on standby in case there would be a need for military action, which they stressed would be a last resort. All right, Rufai, it's escalating. We're seeing more updates with regards to
we're having updates, but what I've always suggested is, please, we can keep it with sanctions, kick the blackouts in, border closure might not probably be the order of the day, because the borders are very porous. People will just filter into the border and there's exchange and all of that. And keep the conversation on. In one of the ideas put forward, no-fly zone, have you ever thought of what a no-fly zone is? If my memory serves me right, there was a no-fly zone that was done in Libya in 2011, 2012, during the Gaddafi wars in Libya. The Western nations, it cost them about $1 billion. USD as of 2011. And also, please, Ayo, factor the time value of money. 1 billion in 2011. It cost them about 1 billion. Because for no-fly zones, you need your platforms up in the sky. As at then, there was a fighter jet that France uses called the Rafale. We don't have the Rafale because it's very, very high-grade sophisticated jet. It cost them 30,000 euros to keep the Rafale in the air. Have we ever asked ourselves, how much does it cost for every missile fired? Averagely, a missile will set you back 50,000 to 100,000 euros. So the costs are definitely going to be enormous. In an economy where we are struggling to defend our currency, I do not support. I love my country so much. I'm a patriot, but for the love of mercy, we beg. Are there other ways we can talk about these things that are happening in Niger? Because already Burkina Faso and another country, Mali, if my memory serves me right, I said any aggression against Niger is an aggression against them. I see that the ECOWAS service chiefs are coming together in Abuja. Please, let us be circumspect about this. Wars cost money. Military operations cost money. We have our own internal fights and battles here. We're fighting with banditry and insurgency and all of that. We have not solved effectively. Can we talk a little more? And I'm making this clarion call. Not because I don't support my country, not because I want to be a pacifist, but let us look at the cost implications. Because you see, if ECOWAS goes in, it is Nigeria that is going in invariably. Nigeria will put a sizable portion of the troops down and a sizable portion of the money. I would rather that we are using that money to defend our currency. Yes, at least to shore up our currency base so that things don't go gaga. I would rather we are putting that money in our economy, not frittering that money away in Niger. The days we did ECOMOG, we had some leeway. But what were even the results and the lessons we learned from ECOMOG? But I support the power cuts to them. Let's look for other measures. Let's talk even further.
Okay, I think the matter is as follows. The deadline that ECOWAS has given Niger will expire this Sunday. Apparently, the coupists in Niger, they've decided to snub President Tinubu in particular. Under normal circumstances, they probably General Sani will probably have sent a delegation to President Tinubu as chairman of ECOWAS, to just seek some kind of, rapprochement for whatever it is worth. Now, ECOWAS had also taken steps to send delegations to Nîgér. First, President Patrice Talon of Republic of Benin. Second, President Mahamat Déby of Chad. And then I understand that General Abdulsalami Abubakar of Nigeria has also led a delegation to Nîgér. In spite of all of this, there has been no positive development because it looks like the coup leaders are determined to dig in. Now, the development that we have seen is not really a very encouraging development. It is the case of a number of countries: Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Burkina Faso, Mali, and I think Chad also, saying that they are opposed to any kind of military intervention in Niger. In fact, the other two countries, Mali and Niger and Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, they are saying that any attack on Niger will get them also involved in the law. They are creating their own United Nations inside West Africa, causing division within ECOWAS. Algeria, that is to the north of Niger, has also issued a statement saying that they cannot afford to have any military intervention across their border for any reason. So that's the complexity that has developed. Now, yesterday, the army chiefs of the ECOWAS countries met in Abuja. Now, these other countries within West Africa, namely Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, boycotted the meeting because they said they don't believe in the idea of any attack and that in any case, ECOWAS should not intervene in what is going on in Niger. That again makes it a bit complex. So when the deadline expires, what is going to happen? Is Nigeria going to go to war in Niger? There is an international dimension. The Russian Federation has said it does not support any military intervention in Niger. And the Russian ambassador to Nigeria has been quoted as saying that ECOWAS should explore constitutional means. The same Russian Federation that is not exploring lawful means in Ukraine is preaching to ECOWAS. You see the kind of funny things we see, in all these arenas that we monitor on a daily basis. However, when James Cleverly met with President Tinubu yesterday, he said, oh, the UK is behind ECOWAS. So you see that there is an international dimension to it. So if you go in there and you launch an attack, there are so many interests that have shown their determination. So Niger, the coupists in Niger, can immediately form a coalition of soldiers who will face the ECOWAS team that you send there. So a risky, costly operation it may turn out to be. Okay, in the midst of all of this, if ECOWAS even launches an assault, in the 1990s, yes, we did it in Liberia with mixed results. Okay, I think ECOMOG also went to Sierra Leone at some point. And then in 2017, we intervened in Gambia to get, the Hittite ruler there, out of the place. So there's no guarantee that even if you go into this military confrontation, it will work. And that's why some people have been asking questions, like Professor Badijo, who's coming onto this program shortly, asking questions about cost. Can Nigeria afford it? Because all these other countries that attended meeting, when it comes to supply of troops, okay, can they back it up with logistics? Okay, the European Commission says ECOWAS has not contacted it to ask if they need any other help beyond the economic sanctions that the EU has imposed. That is another side of it. The United Nations, is it possible that Russia, having a veto power, if the matter goes to the United Nations, won't Russia veto the intervention and stop the UN from even providing any kind of backup? In other words, our submission is that Nigeria needs to tread very carefully. We have shut down power supply to Niger, okay? Well, what if Niger decides to find a way to build their own dam on the Niger River? and then build their own dam and not rely on Nigeria for electricity. So that one may not be so much. And if they do their dam, maybe it will not affect us too. 85% of our electricity supply in Igmi and those other places comes from gas powered. 15% from hydro, Shiroro, Kanji, Jeba. Okay, so we don't really seem to have an upper hand. And then the effect on those states that border Niger, Katsina, Sokoto, all those states in the north, they could become targets. So I think the bigger issue is to avoid a situation whereby the northern corridor of our country is turned into a war zone, and in war, there will be casualties, not just reputation, that we seem to be suffering from now with all those coup leaders in Niger snubbing the president of Nigeria. Some of these people have guts, But in any case, our own sovereign interest is more important to us, and protecting the interests of Nigeria should be the primary task, not ego. So these are the dimensions, but we'll see what will happen. If ECOWAS, having promised use of force, does not go ahead, yes, ECOWAS will lose face. But let's see if mediation will help, if negotiation will help. Some people have even gone as far as, leave the people of Niger alone, let them solve their problems. Why should we be bothered? But no, that will not be how to see it in real terms.
Yes, it's a dicey situation because, first of all, it's the guts of Niger Republic. This is approximately 25 million in terms of population, one of the poorest countries in the world, according to the UN. So their population size is like Lagos State. Imagine a country that's largely dependent in many ways on their neighboring countries, particularly Nigeria, stand up against negotiations, coming to the table, and even sanctions. The leader of the coup and the one General Abdurrahmani Chiani had said that ECOWAS sanctions and ECOWAS intervention is illegal and inhumane. They're saying that it is now an attack on their sovereignty. Therefore, Nigerians themselves should stand against any kind of interference by other nations, including the ECOWAS bloc. For Nigeria, it is particularly for President Bola Tinubu, it is an opportunity to demonstrate the superpower of Nigeria on not just the West African bloc or side of Africa, but African continent as a whole. It would be his first, perhaps, major international, foreign, well, not international, local international intervention as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the world is watching, and Nigerians are watching as well. So it's very dicey in terms of the stance, in terms of egos, as has already been mentioned, in terms of a demonstration of superiority, might, and power as a nation and as a country on both sides. Obviously, Niger is on the short end of the stick because of the fact that they are not, in terms of economy, size, up to that of Nigeria. However, what is fueling or giving them the power for the guts and the show of bravery, as it were, against the ECOWAS bloc? It is interventions by countries who have also come under military rule in very recent times, and also, as Dr. Abati had mentioned, interference from the international world. So it begs the question, as a number of analysts and observers have asked, who is really behind this coup? Whose interests are at stake? What is in it for Russia? What is in it for the United States? What is in it for Niger themselves? Is this just on the surface? These are questions that have come up, particularly with this coup. Now, I doubt it very much if Niger would capitulate before the deadline given to it by ECOWAS, which is on Sunday. I do believe that they are going to go all the way, especially with the backings of the countries that have come. On Wednesday, that was yesterday, one of the coup leaders went to Mali and addressed the Malians, saying that they ought to support them and they shouldn't, allow the threat to take over. This is the body language and the statements coming out from Niger, so they're not going to back down. It will now be time for ECOWAS and Nigeria in particular to decide, and I doubt if, again, they would go back on their word saying that they will have to use military force as a last resort. So brace up, Nigeria. We are possibly going to intervene with our military. And you know, from the leaked documents yesterday, you see that we're already taking position to go in post-Sunday deadline. So the matter of costs, like Rufai had mentioned, then comes in. And I'm, you know, in a few minutes, we're going to be speaking to our guest today who will be taking us even deeper into analyzing the Nigerian situation.